speed. Only a few other champions can match it, and I can assure you that Nocturne is not one of them, but he is going to try a gank on that.
We are looking here on the bottom lane. It does look like Stay Normal is just going to light swing. Flash! Double tap and gets it. This should be an assured double kill. Just kidding. Looks like we're going to get the flash and just take advantage of the leftover minions. Huge play, and Bishop Kelly showing no signs of slowing down.
That was incredible.
Whoa.
He had to flash there because he was dead if he didn't.
Yep.
But he ended up being dead even though he did, just from the sheer ability for that Lucian to be able to follow up very quickly with those, with the procs on the W and with the extra mobility he has from his dash.
It's been so long since I've seen a Yasuo in the mid lane, especially against a Vex, that I did not realize that that bends almost around walls. He threw up the wind wall, it didn't absorb all of it. That is actually a super neat interaction and something to keep in mind. Moving forward as far as Mookie is concerned, but you're absolutely correct. This Lucian Nami combo not only looks good, it's gotta feel good as well. When you can just kind of bum rush the opponent and come out with the victory, that's gotta feel great on the side of Bishop Kelly.
Yeah, looking across the other lanes now, things are relatively even with the exception of that bot lane matchup where slight edge is going to go over to Bishop Kelly there with that Lucian Nami lane. A little bit of poke coming out, and also in that top lane, that one elimination onto the Mordekaiser. A bit unfortunate, but Jax is going to return the lane to its neutral state.
Yeah, certainly not a game ender, but certainly going to make the climb to the top that much more difficult for the side of Ryrie. And again, that's just one of multiple lanes that, again, we have to see this Lucian, who's probably going to go absolutely berserk here at one point. Stun's coming out, not going to find anything here. 6 minutes in, it's 3-0 in favor of Bishop Kelly. And a nice little pop right there. No real follow-up as we have not quite hit that 6 mark. Oh, no, he has. Okay, he had the opportunity.
At this point, it's a pretty patient, neutral game, although Yasuo goes to show that he wants some action.
He's going to get the pop, get a little slice and dicey, but nothing too crazy on top of it. So continue to push those waves, continue to fight for presence. Unfortunate whip right there, but it does look like we're jumping on in. They know they have the opportunity. The stuns and slows are there. What a bubble gonna find the Ezreal, as it does look like Thief's support is going to be peeling on out of there. Seraphine low, Ezreal at half health, and again it comes after that whiff stun, and Lucian punishes with absolute force.
I would like to point out that the moment that the crowd control was gone for the Seraphine,
Absolutely.
the moment that that route was not available, they hit the go button. It's like, okay, there's no crowd control. That means they can't stop us from chasing them. It means they can't stop us from engaging on them. Let's hit him with everything we've got. They didn't end up picking any eliminations up, but they did force them back, and now Ezreal's forced to try and farm under his tower because at half health.
Copycat XL, I'm actually flipped here. Copycat was the ADC last time we played. And something's interesting here. I'm pretty positive.
There is,
and small abode.
There are some changes here, I can tell.
Yeah, that's interesting. I may be wrong here, but anyways, that being said, absolutely huge. And again, it's Adam Cheesy McGuire with Joan Glovely Clock here. Apparently, I have transformed to my final form as an Idaho Spud, but again, we will see 7.5 minutes in if Bishop Kelly continues to run rampant or if Ryrie has a pulse, has a sign of life and a way into this. It's about a 2,000 gold lead in favor of the Bishop Kelly Knights. But again, 2K at about this point, not the most damning situation as we hit the 8-minute mark.
Yeah, only 8 minutes into the game, so no significant progress for either side. There is a 2K gold lead from Bishop Kelly just from those 3 eliminations. So it's a slight gold lead, but certainly nothing game-shattering as they're trying to find an edge onto each other.
Here comes Hecarim. He's looking for this Yasuo here. That 1v1 not going to go in his favor. Flash of Night. Just a little, hey, how are you? Looks like we do have a teleport into the top side, so that will not be available for things like Dragon and the like. But we are going straight in hot and heavy.
Well, look at you.
Pulls the counter attack, gets the stun. Not much more than that. Mordekaiser's okay, coming right back in. But we got a support there from, or a roam there from the support. And now it looks like Biggie is jumping on in. Exhaust is going to be burned. The stun is there as well. How about a Q auto to follow? Huge there from Biggie.
Jax is a fantastic duelist, and it's no surprise to see him doing that much damage, although it is a bit of a surprise to see him doing it this early in the game. Was just able to get that tempo. Mordekaiser hasn't gotten to the point where he's got that first item, where he is ahead. if Mordekaiser gets ahead, like, you can generally kiss your butt goodbye.
Yeah.
He struggles a lot when he falls behind because he needs to be able to have targets to take down with his ultimate.
Just huge. This Lucian is just doing fancy footwork. There's the whirlwind. There's the ult. Vex is going to go down, and Mookie picks up that 1v1 convincingly. Now we have ourselves a fight here by the Rift Herald. Copycat forced the flash over ultimate. Blast cone, and he's out of there. Just kidding. Flash of Night is now in on Copycat XL, who's under the tower. The damage is there. The tower shots to slow, and they feed it over.
That was such a brilliant escape there.
Meanwhile, bottom side tidal wave comes on in, is going to whiff, stay normal with the flash, and the healing force to be burned as well. Another catastrophic failure on what looks so good. And the ultimate from Thief support says, get out of my lane.
Gonna cap that little bounty as well for themselves. So overall, fantastic play. Up in that top lane, we had that great escape over the wall, using that blast cone to not only like escape, but to also dodge away from that Hecarim ultimate over the wall, force out the flash. Hecarim continued chasing under the tower and then dropping the tether of the fear, so that as Hecarim chased underneath the tower, they were automatically going to be feared away. It was just such a brilliant move. And then in the bot lane, just the return on that engagement. You got to watch out when Ezreal hits level 6.
Yeah, and we saw that ultimate when it lands and it rings true. It works out quite well. Copycat is going to find HGDL out in the mid lane, out of their jungle. Be afraid, be very afraid. Copycat is going to get hit there. Yasuo is on, and Copy will find Flash of Night. And Ryrie now has a different look to them up in the kill count.
I just want to point out the most terrifying thing about a Nocturne, his ultimate, hasn't been pressed even once this game. And he's already gotten 2 eliminations, one of which was a punish. Speaking of punishes,
oh my
elimination.
goodness, Brock was there, wasn't able to get it. Ultimate forced out a small abode. Going to save his ADC there, but that was by the hair of the chinny chin if I were to be so candid. Does look like Dragon is going to be picked up as well for the side of Ryrie. And now they're looking stay normal, and CKE looking to get away, but Mookie has other ideas. Puts out a sizable amount of damage. Stay normal coming on in. Tidal Wave is going to miss absolutely everything. Stay normal trying to do damage, but Mookie says get out of here. Hits him with the Beyblade, gets the old double, and finds 2 in the bottom lane.
This is what it feels like to deal with a Yasuo with a few crit items. He literally has 1 important item. Oh my goodness, we do still have that Hecarim.
Yeah, Hecarim jumps on in. So, gonna find 2 on the other side. Just a little bit of a greed there after the initial capture of resources. So, able to clean that up, super nice, but at the same point, just a very catastrophic feeling when you got Yasuo jumping in 1v2 and picking up those kills.
They're going to do a little counter jungling now, or at least attempt to here. Thief support not able to get away. Smite going to be used to secure that blue buff. So what a nice blue buff available for that Nocturne. I'm still waiting to see that Paranoia come out.
Yeah, at some point in time, we haven't, like I said, I said this last game actually, is we didn't even really get to a 5v5 team fight scenario, and we have yet to see the full-fledged impact of the side of Bishop Kelly. I'm sorry, not of Bishop Kelly, of Ryrie, as far as that is concerned. They've been so concerned about capitalizing these lanes, trying to catch back up, and they're doing such a great job, but at the same point, you gotta wonder what this full 5v5 is gonna look like.
Definitely. They have a lot of pick potential. I want to see this Nocturne start roaming. I want to see him start picking fights. But he's just like quietly roaming around the map. I mean, that ultimate is going to be very important. It will change the course of the game.
A little bit of a bait here. Here comes Flash tonight. The Hecarim horse. He's got to find a support. In comes the Paranoia. Everything is dark, scary, spooky. And now you're done, dusted, and dead. A double kill here from the side of Bishop Kelly.
Unfortunate. Trying to use that Paranoia to engage, but doesn't really have that option underneath the tower. Hecarim does get feared, but this time he has enough health to be able to survive, and the team that will help take that turret.
And Stay Normal should be able to pick up these minions here and just absolutely lay waste to this tower. Another piece of gold and going to be dropped there, as they are going to find 1 plate. Yasuo forced to come down and answer this as well.
Consolation prize, though, Ryrie is going to end up picking up that first dragon, and that Ocean Drake will be really helpful against this pressure because of the healing that it puts out. Although at this stage of the game, it's not a whole lot of healing, and it's only 1 Ocean Drake, so a lot of teams will usually give that one a pass.
Sure. You
But everything helps.
Yeah, every little piece that you can get here is absolutely, worth it here at this point. Bishop Kelly again with the lead, but it looks like Lucian's jumping on in. Got the ult in, and the flash in the bubble is huge. Flashes through the ultimate and manages to do it. Stay normal, finding one. Now we're in the Shadow Realm as Biggie's gonna say, fine, I'll kill you in your world too. Kill bot, kill top, Bishop Kelly find 2.
Again, like, he's that duelist, Jack's up in that top lane. So as long as you hold on to that ultimate so that you're not giving Mordekaiser some of those bonus stats,
right?
You can just straight up 1v1 him in his own world.
And it worked out.
And if he's stronger than you,
right,
what are you gonna do?
Right, and that's one of the things where it just takes a lot of grit, a lot of champion knowledge, knowing your limits, limit testing, things of that nature, because I know for a fact the second I get pulled into Mordekaiser or anything, I'm like, well, the whole team is here and I need to run as far as I can. But Jax, you're able to plant those feet and just bop them on the head with that lamppost and find yourself a victory there. But it was close, very thin margins, and right now 11-7, Ryrie down by about 3,000 gold, 3.5 if you were to really start to do the math. But with that said, just a huge match so far. This is a best of 3. Bishop Kelly came out hot and swinging, and Ryrie has responded in kind, so we probably have quite the banger here on our hands.
Well, let's not forget that they do still have some great scaling on the side of Ryrie with Mordekaiser.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Flash of Night is going to get the extra, but is tanky enough at this point. 2 members from the side of Ryrie are now here. It doesn't look like we are going to jump in with the Paranoia. Flashing on out is Flash of Night. The whirlwind finds 2, and he's going to cut him to pieces. Just kidding, smiley face. Not sure what they wanted there, but that wasn't it. In comes the Vex. I told you, you would never expect her. Here she is. Displacement is enough, and this horse is not going to, just kidding, go down. It's dead.
Okay, so good news is that you get that shutdown on the Yasuo, who's already ahead, already like making these terrifying plays. That's great, but you also gave up 2 eliminations. You pressured a fight, used up the paranoia that you didn't really need to use in that situation, and that's a very long cooldown on that ultimate. None of these paranoias have been very successful on this Nocturne.
Yeah, they almost seem like panic paranoias, for lack of a better term, just kind of a response to a bad situation as opposed to being used aggressively, and that was something that we talked about. It needed to be used as a go tool, and we've already seen that the capabilities of the go tools on the side of Bishop Kelly. Ryrie needs to find a way to activate theirs.
Definitely. I think one of the best things to do would be to find a way to get this Mordekaiser in position.
Go button, as you were saying, stay normal. It's just absolutely smacking everybody with everything. The wallet, the gun, he's got it all. And finds yet another one there on the bottom side. Seraphine going to be absolutely deleted from this field.
So the good news is that Lucian is eventually going to fall off and didn't eliminate them as fast this time.
Oh, looks like Hecarim jumping on in. He's going to find 2 there as Mookie and Copycat looking to fight this as well. Fight over the Scuttlecat crab, as it does look like the tidal wave is going to be coming in. Windwall's out. He's going to jump through. He was about to find one. Copycat going to fall. Stay normal finds the Yasuo. And now Bishop Kelly will be gifted a dragon after a handful of kills.
That was a great ultimate by these supports, picking up the cleanup. Mountain Dragon, however, is going to go over to Bishop Kelly. Objective bounties will be available soon for Ryrie there. It's going to be an Inferno Rift, so
that's huge.
Some of those terrain and bushes are going to get burned away. It's going to be a much more visible map.
And the extra damage makes things hit marginally harder than it did prior, plus the extra burn on top of everything else. So we'll see what happens. Both of these teams a little ways away from claiming the soul, but it doesn't look like Jax wants to pick this fight. Counter is not going to be there. And so, not necessarily a wasted opportunity. Big tanks, they rarely have ever go down easy, but they definitely go down swinging. And these two trying the best they can to find an advantage over the other.
Definitely. Lying up there in the top lane, just kind of hanging out underneath his turret. And, like, what else can you do when you're like that far behind in gold, farm, and kills?
Well, it looks like you
don't fight.
It looks like you decide to give it your all, but it looks like Copycat might have actually caused a bit of an issue here because he can't see the Jax, and so he's going to be able to jump in and jump on top of this Mordekaiser. He will end up paying with his life. They have to bring Mookie up from the mid lane, but that seemed like a little bit of an oopsie.
little bit, but I do think that on the Mordekaiser part might have been intentional, but the fight's not over.
Here we go. He comes in with the ultimate. He is going to find the back. Vex is going to jump in, and massive damage on a boat there. They're going to move on through. Vex trying to get through, but he's going to be jumped on and removed from the field. 3v1, as it does look like Yasuo would like to fight. Windwall blocking all that it can, but it won't block the melees nor the light slinger right after the fact. So huge setup there from the side of Ryrie is absolutely smacked down by Bishop Kelly.
This Hecarim is monstrous, and we were talking about tempo. Hecarim has controlled the tempo from the beginning of this game.
What, minute 3 gank number 1 kind of situation?
Yes, kind of like
disgusting.
that. It's been a successful gank on almost every single attempt.
Hey, 10, 3, and 5. I think your math checks out there, Lovely, as again, we've just been seeing nothing but constant go buttons from the side of Bishop Kelly, from the jungler, from their top lane, from the bottom side, and of course, we mentioned Vex before. All this team does on Bishop Kelly's side is go, and they are doing well. 21-11, about 20 minutes in, and now Baron becomes a point of contention. Or, you know, we just lose him again. Biggie, he's gonna find yet another one there. And this poor Mordekaiser, 0-6, just cannot find a way into this game, and that is going to hurt as they move on through.
I mean, at this point, like, the guy can't be worth that much gold, right?
I
like,
mean,
you're picking on him that much.
Maybe it's the tiltability. Stay normal, almost gets caught out. Tidal Wave is going to find the Yasuo. That's really all they needed. Windwall going to be eaten up there, or eats up that Tidal Wave, so Abode can get on out and protect their Yasuo there. But in comes Uncle Mercy, and he finds one of the squishiest members. Count it 2. Stay normal finds 1. There's the second. The third one was just there for support as he watches his teammates get eviscerated. And now you have to think, with Baron on the table, they see the ping, they're going for it.
I mean, that was a great ultimate from the Seraphine, but at this point, they're so far behind, they just don't have the damage to be able to burst them down. They might on the Yasuo, but unfortunately, because he's that melee carry, because he has to be so close.
Flash bubble! Jack's jumping over through the ward, and they are just destroying Ryrie around the pit. Assuredly will pick up this Baron. They don't even need a huge hit there, actually. He's going to take a giant chunk out of the Vex. Couldn't really afford to take another one of those, but it doesn't matter. Baron in the hands of the Knights, and they're very happy with that one.
I mean, I'd certainly be.
Right?
They've had the pressure in this game, like the entire game. They've had control of almost every single lane, every single matchup. It feels a little daunting for Ryrie to be able to come back from this.
And again, we saw them do kind of the same thing. They fell down at about the 15-20 minute mark, turned it on this time, a little bit different, but they still have the capabilities. Again, we saw Mordekaiser take a giant chunk out of the Vex. Whether or not that's going to help moving forward, we will see. But it does give you a little bit of hope that maybe not all hope is lost. You do have a leg into this, except for that right there. That's kind of deflating. I will be candid, that was unfortunate.
They do still have a few tools that they can use for the scaling. Like, the Yasuo is still an absolutely terrifying monster as long as you can land a good knockup for him. And Mordekaiser, while he hasn't been a very effective solo.
Whoa! Remember I was talking about the dog pile, Lovely? There it is, and in spades. I don't know if you needed to use all of those resources, but hey, we got a glimpse of what the dive will look like moving forward. And again, we mentioned that Vex can show up wherever, but Mordekaiser, again, bopping him on the head like a good little field mouse.
And he's actually starting to get on some bulk. He's finally got himself his mythic item. That's going to give him a lot more survivability in these fights from the spell zone.
Flank there from Jax, almost got the Ezreal there, but now the Yasuo jumping in. What could be determined is prematurely. Ultimates on ultimates on ultimates, and it looks like a huge one coming out from Seraphine. Locks down the entirety of the Bishop Kelly Knights, and now it is a free-for-all. Knockdown, drag him out. Flash of Night starts it out. Bishop Kelly drops on top of Ryrie, and Ryrie brings out their best Gandalf impression. You shall not pass, and staunches the effort.
This is what I was talking about. You don't want to fight that Seraphine in the jungle because of that huge ultimate. It lines up perfectly for the Yasuo. I don't know if we'll get a replay of that, but the wind wall came out and blocked up so much of that follow-up. And because he was able to dodge out of the way of the Hecarim, he was able to fire off that tornado that he'd been storing up. So pay attention, watch this tornado as he comes through. That's what gets him on that back lane. He's able to take down the Lucian. That's their main source of damage. And now at this point, they can just whack away at the rest because they have the numbers advantage.
Gold lead be damned as Ryrie turns it up to 11-12, nay, I say 15. They are alive. They have signs of fight in them still. They'll be given a dragon, a handful of kills, and put a dent in that gold lead. Still quite a bit, around 6K the difference there. Bubble not going to land, but you can almost smell the desperation. That Ryrie play brings them back into this game. That does not happen. Your opponent is just going to run away with it. They were already at like what seemed to be, I think, an 8,000 gold lead. I'd have to see the replay again. And they planted their feet and fought their way out of it. So you got to give kudos where it is deserved.
More importantly, there was a 1,000 gold shutdown in the middle of that fight from that Lucian. Guess where it went? It went to that Fed Yasuo, who is currently 9-7-2, has that Immortal Shield Bow, has that Mortal Reminder, is building what I'm pretty sure are the components for Infinity Edge, so gonna have some absolutely ridiculous crit damage going on.
Mookie is looking to make some moves. The weight of his entire team on his shoulders. The question is, how big is the backpack, and will the crew help him lift it as well? Shots coming out, but not finding much of anything. Bishop Kelly, though, trying to coil up, trying to squeeze the life out of their opponent. They had nothing but tempo this entire game, and we just saw their first inability to do something with it. Will that continue on, or will they recorrect their course of action with this dive comp?
Well, right now they've certainly slowed down their pace in respect to Ryrie.
Paranoia is going to come in. They are looking for the Lucian. They're not going to find it. Tidal wave is huge, and it's like deja vu, a reverse. The lineup of the support ultimate absolutely decimates any hope for the opposing crew. A double kill comes on in off screen. Another kill coming in for this Hecarim, and you have to assume that is going to absolutely destroy the remaining base of Ryrie as Thief support tries, gets bubbled on up. That is a huge chunk of damage. Ultimate comes on in, not going to find it. Stay normal says bye-bye. Join your team with the gray screen. We're pushing down mid.
And I think that's probably going to be game. They were so reliant on that wind wall to be able to stop that Nami tidal wave from getting into the rest of their team that when Yasuo wasn't in position to stop it or was caught out before he was able to block it for the rest of his team, it resulted in the rest of the team being caught up in the crowd control. Actually looks like Bishop Kelly has taken an inhibitor and they're just going to back out. The Baron
looks like a
will
minute.
be out fairly soon.
Going out, clear out the words, make sure your opponent doesn't get anything for free. I'm with you. I think they could have probably push the tempo up and finish this game, but instead they want to assure that they are capable of doing that. So they'll clear out vision, they'll set up for this incoming Baron like we were mentioning and see if they can't get themselves another one. But as you mentioned, Glovely, the support ultimate right there, usually being eaten up by the Yasuo. And it's something we saw on the bottom side as well. The second this preventative CC is gone, this Bishop Kelly crew knows when to strike.
Absolutely. That's the weakness of this comp, I think, is that your crowd control is so limited. You have the Seraphine who only gets it up when the passive is available. You have the pull from the Mordekaiser, which can only pull people towards you. You have the fear from the Nocturne, which is on a delay. You have the Yasuo, who has to land 3 or 2 of his Qs before he has the Tornado. Like, it's such conditional crowd control that needs time to set up.
Stun locked. Paranoia is going to come in. He was hunting, but he finds a whole team instead. Ryrie about to lose their support. Instead takes the Fed ADC of Bishop Kelly, puts him in a body bag.
The fight's not over yet. She can actually stay in this fight thanks to both the Ocean Dragon, her own items, and of course that W, which she can spam the secondary ability of it to grant healing to herself and her team.
Man, getting hit by an Ezreal Q is like the most terrifying thing because you never really know how much it's going to do until it immediately one-shots you. That's kind of what we saw. Saw the Nami get 50% of her health taken away with just one baby combo. Not even a full combo. So
I really appreciate that they went with this scaling Ezreal build.
Yep.
I would have to guess that the next item is probably going to be Duskblade because you've already got the Ramana.
That's not blue.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Like, yes, they need the Ezreal to survive, but more importantly, they need him to be able to do damage. This is incredibly risky with that Hecarim over the wall. He
goes down the wall. It's not going to get it. The bounty has been claimed by Ryrie, but the question is what are they going to lose in the process? It does look like Bishop Kelly has already found 2. The Yasuo responds, but it's going to be be dropped by the Lucian, and that is a massive loss on the side of Ryrie. You get the Drake, sure, but did you just lose the game? As it does appear they are pushing right down mid with the inhibitor gone and massive waves of super minions there. They should be able to push towards the end of this game.
So Flash of Night, the jungler here, this Hecarim, first of all, barreling down on the Ezreal is going to expend that flash on both sides. So Ezreal is able to get away, but they're going to lose so much for him.
Almost lost Biggie there, but instead survives with the smallest of slivers of healths. And so the question, because what a jump over, but he pays with his life. The rest of the crew have respawned, or at least 2 members of them. It does appear he was able to get on out. This Lucian is just going nuts right now and finds yet another one. As Flash and Knight is going to help out in the meantime. It is a 2v3, and they are not willing to relent. They are not willing to stop. That is going to be the end of the Lucian, but it does look like yet another inhibitor has fallen in the meantime.
So Flash of Night, I'm actually familiar with. I don't know if you've heard of La Liga. It is a local league around here. Flash of Night has been involved in a lot of the organization of that, so I'm not surprised to see him applying all of the things that he's probably learned from the league here in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they weren't able to close that out. The respawn timer is just not exactly where they wanted them. So the waves kept coming on in. I think it was a little greedy. They maybe didn't need to take the 2v4, but to show a little bit of prowess and see if they have what it takes, they decided that was the right call. So right now, Bishop Kelly looking super strong. 10K gold lead in their favor. Ryrie does have some dragons to their name, but that gold lead is huge.
I mean, do remember that those bonus stats from those dragons are going to start multiplying more, especially since so many members of Ryrie are damage-focused champions.
Sure.
Like, the tankiest one on their squad is probably that Mordekaiser, and even he's building, like, full damage items. That's a Rylai's Crystal Scepter that he's got the components for in his inventory, so...
Hope you like being slowed.
Because you're going to be slowed the rest of the game.
Forever, but it does look like they are jumping in here on 11, or Ion, as Flash of Night is going to be pulled into the Shadow Realm. The rest of his crew is here. They're looking for the dots. Where's the red one? Where's the blue one? And it does look like Flash of Night is going to go through the opposing jungle. Paranoia is going to come in. He uses his ult as a response. The vision is very weird and Caddy Bobbin, but HGDL jumps in. A huge ultimate there for the Seraphine. Means everyone needs to be careful. Mookie looking for something, is going to find the tornado, but is going to lose his life. In the meantime, the rest of Bishop Kelly, while limping, stays alive. They found 3 kills and could continue to push this advantage.
That was incredibly close for Ryrie. Yes, they found that support ultimate in the jungle on multiple targets. And yes, it would have been devastating. Oh my goodness. Speaking of devastating, it's so hard to get this Lucian off of you, especially with that Gale Force. I think this is going to be game.
That absolutely is going to be the case. All 5 members of Bishop Kelly swarm the Nexus. They were looking for Thief, but they find game number 1. Bishop Kelly showing why the rumors may in fact be true here in this best of 3.
So game 1, what did we learn? Tempo, tempo, tempo. The ability for that Hecarim to set the pace of the game is what propelled their team so far ahead. Yes, that Yasuo was absolutely terrifying. I would not be surprised to see it banned in the next round. But in exchange, the rest of the team fell flat, fell behind. That Mordekaiser was 0-9 by the time the game ended. It was just a really rough business all around as far as Ryrie goes. So there's going to have to be some adjustments. They're going to have to figure out, how do we set the control for the game? How do we pick up the pace? What kind of champions are going to enable us, or even just be able to keep up with the Hecarim? There's only a handful of champions that can do that, and you may not have them in your pool.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a situation. Sorry, I don't know why I thought that was a funny or great idea. That was one of the worst decisions I have ever made in my entire life. But I do love the decisions being made here by Bishop Kelly, giving them the first game. And in a very aggressive, kind of in-your-face way, despite the setup and what they were facing. So it does appear we have a game number 2 coming in the very near future. But again, we wanted to thank you for stopping by the Idaho Showdown. And we will be back here in just a few minutes with more Idaho Spuds and more League of Legends action.
Growing up in Idaho, we have certain rules we live by. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
We're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're going to save families from disaster and feed those left in the cold. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Oh, hello, and welcome back to the Boise State Esports Battle Arena. It has been a long and amazing day for more than a handful of amazing schools here in the Treasure Valley area and then some. But it's all coming down to this, a best of 3 League of Legends edition. You're watching coverage of the Idaho High School Esports Showdown. My name is Chizu, and that is Glovely, and we just had ourselves I'll say wily, that's the word I'm going to use. First game, as you see the Idaho Spuds, they are a-flowing, if you didn't know. And we have got just, everything you need and then some. Good quality games, a little bit of ha-ha here and there. It's been like 12 hours of awesome here from the Boise State Battle Arena, and we're glad that you can join us. Bishop Kelly on top with the early victory over Ryrie, and we will see if they continue that dominance moving forward.
I mean, we saw both teams had some incredible plays in that
Absolutely.
game one. That one fight in the jungle by Ryrie was incredible just off of that support ultimate and finding that backline with the Yasuo.
Right.
So, we know Ryrie can win these. We need to see less conditional crowd control on their team so that they have some more immediate power that they have available for shutting down those engages. I think we need to see just some better defensive tools. That was where I was thinking they were lacking, and also just tempo.
Right.
Like that Hecarim was running circles around them.
Oh, that was one of the things we were talking about, is that, yeah, sure, Hecarim is not necessarily as powerful as he was once upon a time, but we saw the aggression and the tempo, as you mentioned, was immediately in favor of Bishop Kelly. Yes, there was a little bit of a stutter. Sure, they gave away a couple dragons, whether they wanted to or not. But Ryrie did have opportunities, and we saw it with the Seraphine ult in the jungle that was almost immediately responded to by the Nami in the mid lane.
I mean, that's basically the matchup in a nutshell. You look at those supports and what they have available to them. Nami has immediate power. You can throw that bubble out anytime you want. You've got the slow anytime you want. You buff that ADC, and he is buffed anytime you want.
Absolutely.
Seraphine, on the other hand, is dependent on that passive and that really long cooldown on her ultimate for any sort of immediate power. And that's kind of the story between those two teams. You want to have that time to relax, to set up those big power spikes, those big windows of power. But you can't do that if your opponent is jumping on you at Mach 5.
And see, that's what I wanted. You draft the Nocturne. You think that you have a go button. You have an 0-6 top laner, can't really go button that. And in fact, they absolutely abused that top laner, Mordekaiser. And it's just an unfortunate circumstance. But you did see those rays of hope. We were talking about how, Bishop Kelly is kind of favored in this situation from rumors of the other players we talked to today. You can see why, but you also saw moments of glory come out of Ryrie as well as we take a look at some of these replays.
Yeah, here you can see just how this Hecarim was pushing in this matchup. Every time there was an open opportunity, This little play here was pretty good for Ryrie, I believe. No, it actually ended up turning out poorly for them.
Right.
But like, look at that. He expends that early, so he doesn't have his ultimate available for the rest of the fight, even if he is getting the bonuses up. But at that point, it's 3 versus 1, and no matter how fed that Yasuo is, he's not going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is that dragon fight that we were talking about, which looks so good, but the Yasuo removes himself from the team. Hecarim jumps on in as well as the Vex, and they are able to clean up the backline with relative ease. Yes, Yasuo does find the opposing backline, but it's just too little too late, and it actually led to what could be conceived as the end of that game. So for those of you just joining us, Idaho Showdown League of Legends Edition, of course, 5v5, a best of 3, Spudmaner's Rift. That's the punnest of the century. I love it. Single elimination, we have been doing this for the course of 2 days. Plenty of games already played, but those are the rules, especially here on Spudmaner's Rift. My name, again, is Chizu. That is Glovely, and we're looking for round number 2 here as Bishop Kelly looking to hoist a cup. Again, they were a fearsome opponent, although their last game, again, they did have stutter moments, but they just went. They stepped down on the little skinny accelerator pedal, and they never let up.
And that's what we need to see come out of Ryrie in this game. In order to respond to that, you got to set up the pace. You got to set it for yourself. Like, get to objectives, get to fights, get to ganks.
Yeah.
It's speed. And when you're dealing with a Hecarim, like, there's only a few champions that can really match that pace.
Yeah.
Like, you've got off the top of my head, you've got the Lilia can keep up with that. The Udyr can to some degree. Aside from that, Talon?
Something of that nature. I mean, there's other ways you can go about it too, and yeah, the laning phases did not go the way you wanted them to. Sure. Again, when you have a Lucian Nami flashing into you at like the 3rd minute of the game, you don't know if it's mechanics or insanity, and so that starts to play a little bit on the mental. But again, we mentioned these kids have been gaming for nearly 2 days now at this point. They've had a lot of time to just sit and wait on top of it. I don't know about you, Glovely, but that causes me to stir quite a bit. The nerves start to get to you. You just want to get these games done and get on with your day. And I think Ryrie can embrace that. We saw that they can play fast. It's just they need to get there immediately.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of indicative of their champions, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's very, very true. So, again, we'll see what we have. They're getting set up and good to go from my limited understanding of the world. We just wanted to thank you guys again for being out here, including the Idaho Army National Guard. Thanks to them, we've had, apparently we now have maps too. Apparently Summoner's Rift has expanded to multiple different things.
I mean, I would love to go to King's Row, but
apparently we got to kick it to the main stage. It appears we have a wandering stranger straight out of Fallout. Doc, take it away.
Chizu.
Uh-oh.
Glovely. Thanks. Things are going great down here on stage. Players getting ready for draft again. Heard some exciting potential combinations coming out. Maybe we'll see them. Maybe we won't. Any questions for these folks while you're up there?
I mean, honestly, what's the vibe like? What are we thinking? How's the general atmosphere down there, Doc?
Yeah, the general atmosphere is really, really good. They're excited. They're feeling very relaxed and confident. There's very little swearing. That's a good sign.
That's a good sign. That's a great sign.
And again, they're ready to pull out some just insane comps.
Now, you have made some egregious claims, Doc, as to the power of certain champions. Now, could you possibly allude to maybe something like, are we talking like an Annie Mid kind of thing? That's something that would make you happy? Perhaps something that would make Glovely happen? Like, without giving it away, maybe some context clues. What are you kind of alluding to here, Doc?
Yeah, we could see the Annie, potentially the Garen.
Okay.
I mean, those things are possible. Anything is possible. Your dreams are possible. I'll kick it back to you.
Thank you so much for the wise words of Doc. As he said, anything is possible with friends. If you caught that. Those were the underlying terms.
I figured that much. I mean, and you are working with your friends. These are teams. These are high schoolers.
Right.
Working with folks from their own communities. And let that teamwork is so important. Lucian, of course, going to be banned away immediately. Such an impactful player.
Get him
in
out
that
of here.
game. Get that lane bully out of here. We don't want to deal with that.
Oh, that was unbelievably fun. Sorry, but yeah, get that Lucian out of here. I have a feeling they've got a follow-up to it. It's like one of those things where it's like if you're this skilled and this aware of, as we were talking, the countdown timers, cooldown timers, that you can aggressively make a move every time your opponent makes a slight mistake, that's huge. So get rid of that. We're also going to see the Pyke, the Yasuo, and the Kaisa removed, but we add another Idaho Spud.
I mean, you know what they say. You can love them, you can hate them.
Absolutely.
I'm full of them.
But it does look like the crews are deciding where they want to go. Again, the Yasuo going to be removed. Might as well take the Jax. Might as well just force everybody to play brand new champions this time around as far as this game is concerned.
I'm all for it. I love seeing all kinds of remixes. There is still champions available, like that Nami is still available, the Hecarim is still available. A lot of very strong champions here. We're going to go on to Spudmaner's Rift, yes.
Spudmaner's Rift.
This is going to be a lot of fun. You know, get on there with all your best buddies and...
Your best buddies?
Yeah, your best buddies, you know.
Your best spuddies.
Spuddies, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I mean, I might be a couch potato, but...
lovely. All right, well, you're now grounded. We're going to talk about who's picked. Kane going to be grabbed there from the side of the Knights. But now we're looking at tanky and spanky over here, as it does appear that Ornn and Trundle will be the selections here from the side of Ryrie.
Both very bulky choices. I really like the Trundle as being sort of that anti-tank. So even if you do pick like something bulky into that Ornn, you're immediately going to get punished for it. That's a very aggressive pair of picks there on the other side.
Okay, so we're just going, apparently. So we might have something swapped, but a Vayne and a Katarina immediately picked up, like instantly locked in. Those are some aggressive champions that can kind of go nutty given the resources.
Okay, the Vayne, I kind of understand. It's like a hyper carry focused meta. The Katarina is a surprise for me because that champion is not usually picked at higher level play. Because she can be interrupted because you focus that crowd control on her.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Vex
so it
is going to be picked on the other side.
That actually is flipped. So, yeah, Ryrie pulling out all the stops. They say this could be our final game. It is time to go crazy, insano, hyper. And it does look like that is, again, like you mentioned, I haven't seen a Katarina, and I can't tell you how long. Like, personally, even.
Yeah.
It used to be one of those champions like, oh, before Samira was a thing. Like, let me jump into the team, hit R, win game.
Yeah, remember the Kraken Slayer Katarina days where she just shred your entire health bar with true damage? That was fun.
Why is this fair? Is this even
F.
legal? Why does it hurt so bad? But we will see what the situation is. As you did mention, Vex. I have an interesting feeling this Vex could also be able to blow up just about anybody that we were talking about previously. We'll have to see which way Kane decides to go. We did see a version that just absolutely shredded anyone in his path, choosing to go the aggressive route instead of the more tanky route. We'll see if that is the same decision this time from Ryrie as we go.
All right, so it looks like the supports have been really targeted in that second round. Leona, Nautilus, Nami, all off the board. Mordekaiser as well. Zaya is going to be the pickup for the AD carry. Rakan is still on the board if you want to play the lovers duo.
Right.
But still a fine AD carry in her own right. She don't need no man. She just prefer to have him.
All right, and we are going to see something here in the very near future that could be, okay, so the Teemo is not Teemo with this drafting program that we have. It is actually Renata, something I talked about earlier that I wanted to see. It's very rare that I see that champion pop off, but when it does, it's beautiful. And we get the Fiora again, this time from the side of Ryrie. Actually, that was the same Fiora we saw earlier today. And
they
there
even got
it is.
them in the right order, so they could put their splash up together.
I wish someone loved me like that.
Those two are just the sweetest thing when you play them together in game.
It's a lot of fun.
They're non-stop flirting with each other. It's so much fun to listen to.
It's like one of those things when you're like alone and unhappy. You're like, wow, I don't even want to play in this lane anymore because the love between these two fake champions is so much more real than anything I have. It's cool. I'm all right. Anyways.
Can anyone guess our relative relationship status? Just from our interaction over Zion Rakan. But let's talk about Renata and the tools she has access to on her team. There's no crowd control set up for that Renata.
Yeah, that actually is an interesting scenario. And again, it just looks kind of like a last-ditch effort comp. Not necessarily like a comfort, but like a throwing everything at the wall and hoping it sticks because you don't have any CC to make it stick.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, you're going to have some crowd control. The Renata Q is actually very tricky to use, in my opinion, but that's a very slow ultimate, even if it can be a very devastating one in the right hands. But the only like auto attack hyper carry you're going to have access to, I guess you have the Trundle and you have the Xayah, and you're expecting those two to get caught in it and to turn on their whole team, and that's going to be sort of your big crowd control for these fights. So how are you setting up this Katarina then? Like, the Katarina needs an opportunity to go in. There's lots of crowd control on the other side of the team. I guess if they're all busy fighting each other, then they can't use their abilities on you, but that still is a whole bunch of people who are going to be turning and attacking the Katarina, who's going to be in the center of all of them.
Well, any one of these individuals you attack, they're going to inevitably die relatively quickly. Unless Kane decides to go the tanky route like we talked about before, any single one of these members gets caught out by, I'm just going to say the Vex right off the bat. Call of the Forge God displaces them. You know, something gets them out of place. There's nothing for them to hold on to. There is no, like, door in the water on the side of the Titanic that you hold on to hoping for help. You're just done. You're iced.
They do have hope for getting through those tanks, though. Like we mentioned, the Kraken Slayer build. You know who else does Kraken Slayer really well?
Who?
Vayne.
Exactly.
And when you've got that kind of a hyper carry on you, doing tons of true damage, and true damage on top of that true damage with the silver bolts every 3 hits, you're going to be shredding through even the tankiest members. Like, it doesn't matter how bulky Ornn and Trundle end up being. And that's another thought, is that Trundle's not going to have a tank to leech those stats off of. He's going to be very squishy unless he decides to build some tank himself, which could cut into his goal.
Well, we will see what happens as we jump here into Doc's keys of the game. It looks like we are going to be focus a strong Spud. Don't forget, Glovely, play to your Spud. Remember your win Spud and Spud control. I am feeling very starchy with this whole situation, and it does look like it is, very much true to form as far as Doc's keys of the game are concerned. All brought to you by Drop In Gaming. They are the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran like Glovely over here, Drop In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. Be sure to take an Idaho Spud with you on the way. Again, my name is Chizu. That is Glovely, and this could very well be the final match as far as the Idaho Showdown is concerned. But it's going to require Bishop Kelly to close it out once again, and Ryrie is back against the wall.
Definitely, and we were talking about, like, the danger here as to what Ryrie has crafted. It feels like a very solo queue comp where they're not really thinking about how these champions work together. And that is incredibly dangerous, but they do have some hope, especially in that Vayne. They don't have anything to protect it with, so the Vayne is going to very much be on their own up against those tanks, while the rest of the team needs to go for that back line.
Well, and I wanted to bring up this Fiora that we saw earlier. It did have a lot of prowess to it, and despite getting absolutely just smashed in lane, ended up bringing up a lot in the later end of the game. We saw some very interesting, interesting pick attempts that were thwarted by the player in question. So I'm hoping that is the case. I want to see 3 games. I always want to see 3 games. But right now, Bishop Kelly is looking golden. Who'd have thought, considering, if I'm not mistaken, they're the Golden Knights. But we are in. We are looking to win, and it is game time, baby. As we get things adjusted again, big shout out to production for making the moves that we cannot do without you. As it does appear that we're going to get pretty easy starts from either side. Nothing too crazy, nothing too cattywampus. That was all saved for the draft. Now we're going to play normal games.
Well, now we got to watch out for, like, who's got the capability to snowball, who's going to be the one to set up that first elimination for the team. And honestly, I'm looking to the mid lane. There's such aggressive champions on both sides, both in the jungle and in the mid lane, to be able to pin down those lane opponents. If someone steps a little too far forward, there's going to be a gank. So
why doesn't anyone love me? Anyways.
I'm a lover, not a tater.
Glovely, you're grounded!
I've been holding on to that one half the night, so let me have it.
How do you feel? You feel better now?
I do.
Is it all out of your system?
No.
Okay, well, I anticipate the next one. Red gonna be the start here for blue, and well, as well as red. So it looks like everyone wants a little bit more aggression, a little bit more damage right off the bat to help them with their clears. And again, I hadn't even considered that, Glovey. I'm glad you brought it up, that the fact that this Trundle is not going to have anything to sap onto. I mean, as far as tanky stats and stuff are concerned, sure, it would be nice, but that bonus is not going to be that big.
Definitely not. I'd say pay attention to where the junglers are. Pay attention to this mid lane because they're going to be the ones who impact the match the most.
Right. Absolutely. So, Lovers Duo comes out hot and heavy. No real surprise there. And again,
much like a Tater, they've only got eyes for each other.
Oh, God, Glovely, you're so grounded. Shots coming on out. Stay normal. Going to take a little bit of that, but it's really not that bad as Renata Glass blasts away at the opposing Lovers Duo. And so far, not a whole lot of anything crazy. Ornn conceivably going to win early on. It'll be when this Fiora gets a handful of items that she'll start tanking and shredding away, or not tanking, but shredding away at that tank. As far as the junglers are concerned, no one making any early 3-minute ganks this time around. So all players given another opportunity. Jumping on in, the Shempo is there. Daggers dropping all over. But you jump on in, you get ignited. There's a Trundle, there's the bite, there's the strike, and there's a first blood. Would you like to get away from the tower? Okay, Flash of Night almost got killed by the minions. But hey, first blood over on the side of Bishop Kelly. Flash late, but you might as well get out of there. So right now, BK looking good.
I'm just going to chalk that one up as a win for me, talking about, like, yeah, of course it's going to be in mid lane. Of course that's where it's going to be because that's where those most aggressive champions are, and that's where that jungle focus is going to be. Trundle, of course, comes in, cuts off any chance of escape, and even is able to pursue underneath the tower, but Thief support going to find Biggie Big in the top lane.
First to flash out, was looking to drop a ward, instead found an opposing jungler. Never the surprise you were hoping to have. But Feather's going to fly, going to be called back, no stun available. However, the jump in is going to find the Renata, force them on out, but able to get out with relative ease. Flash was expended by Zeke. So something to consider. Now that bot lane does have an exploitable piece to the puzzle.
Things are going to be pretty calm, pretty quiet at this stage in the game. 4 minutes up, we can keep a track of the junglers. We do see Kane moving around towards the mid lane, but there's not really an opportunity for him to gank for that Katarina. So they're just going to stay back for the time being. Everyone's just going to farm on up.
Yeah, and this is, again, almost a clear indication in response to the game last time. That game was so unbelievably quick, and now Bishop Kelly, they have that 1-game lead. They can breathe. They can play at their own tempo, which sure might usually be lightning quick and breakneck, but in the early parts of these games, they've got to get these champions into a spot in which they're comfortable before they can make the moves that they did previously.
Good fear there. Doesn't get to follow up on that damage. Was predicting the Shunpo, which doesn't actually end up going through. Fiora is just stuck underneath this tower for the time being, and Ornn could happily hack away at with his hammer and build himself some new items. Let's see what he builds.
What a nice little change in the game when Ornn was announced. They're like, hey, you know how you hate going back? Here's a champion that never has to do it if you do this correctly. But not only that, when it comes to the end of the game, you can do it for other people. Enjoy it. It's absolutely stunning. I love the champion, and don't even get me started on the usefulness of the call of the Forge God that I'm sure we will see once we get into the team aspect of this. But so far, gold is relatively even. Bishop Kelly looking to hit that 1,000 mark here in the relative near future. That is all coming from that bottom lane, and a kill early on for Trundle.
Good knock up there.
Bellows Breath.
Fiora. That Bellows Breath is such a powerful move. I think people sometimes forget that even though Ornn's a tank, he has so much damage.
It's bursty. You kind of forget about it if you're not proccing your stuff correctly, if you can't get the brittles to go off correctly, but suddenly you get hit once by that giant hammer and you're like, wow, where'd my health bar go? That was awesome. But it looks like we will have Flash of Night moving on in, looking for Thief support. Not going to find anything there is the Vex, but they had an angle, just weren't able to do much with it.
Did have the fancy feet, was able to avoid that crowd control, so credit to Thief support for thinking on his feet there.
Absolutely, but so far a relatively quiet game compared to 6.5 minutes in. Only 1 kill on the board, but Bishop Kelly has started to balloon their lead now. And that is going to feel great for them. You're seeing things like the Cinder being finished up by the Ornn. Everybody else kind of just sitting on a single piece. You see the Vamp Scepter coming out here for the Xayah. Nice little shot there. Bode is going to be jumped on unbelievably quick, but here comes Flash at Night. He's going to be counter-ganked by the opposing jungle. Bottom side rolls up, as well as the rest of the crew. It is a 4v2 down here. They weren't expecting 1, let alone 2 individuals in that try.
Adobe, unfortunately, not able to land that hook on there onto the Lovers duo, so they will only get the 1, but they got that Trundle. They were able to counter gank him and be able to get that onto their Katarina. Unfortunately, their bot lane duo is the ones who are struggling in this particular game. 24 to 56 CS, but here comes the jungler.
He is going to be jumping on in. They lock him down really quick, and in fact, almost take him out in the process. They're able to get the pull. It does nothing. They burn and ignite. Everything burned and nothing to be found. As Ryrie looks for an opportunity and are found wanting.
Slow engage, holds on to the blow so he doesn't set off the parry. That's the good call there. Ends up not proccing that brittle at all, though.
Right. Feathers coming on out, and so far, all you need is the Scepter in the tier, and apparently you start pumping out damage as Xayah takes a sizable chunk out of the opposing ADC. Nice headbutt into the Spire. Here comes the call of the Forge God. Brittle is applied again. There's that damage you're talking about. Riposte is going to parry that one. A flash is there. The Bellows Breath. He is molten fire good. As he's going to find that one there. And it does look like we are looking for a possible first Drake here. Not necessarily wanting to pull it out, apparently. They're just going to keep fighting it there in the center. In jumps Thief's support, and there goes the Blast Cone as well. Renata is there. They're just looking to fight. Specs is on in, and the Thief's support is going to go down. Dragging over to Bishop Kelly. That's another one as HGDL finds Thief's support. Zeke finds Adobe, and Bishop Kelly finds everything and then some. Kill top lane transitions into a dragon and a pair.
Maybe a little over-aggressive there. Speaking of over-aggressive, you gotta get into safety. You don't want to recall out in the open. Find yourself a bush where you're able to hide away from that jungler.
A bush, not a pillar. Find a bush.
Find a bush.
Not a pillar. Oh, and it is looking tragic already on the side of Ryrie. They do have an opportunity to come through, but 4K gold lead. 9 minutes in. Yikers, begikers, folks. Does look like Bishop Kelly on a tear as we expected, but Ryrie has changed our expectations. I don't know about you, Glovely, but I do feel like they have an opportunity towards the middle of this game to turn things around.
They definitely do. They've already proven that they're capable of spotting out those ganks, turning them around. We did see that that Trundle getting caught out. Like, they have win conditions. They have the potential. Lovers Duo gonna use that recall together to get out safely.
The win condition is just pump out a whole bleep ton of damage as fast as possible with every champion you have. The Katarina, the Vayne, you got Kayn, who I wouldn't be surprised now if he goes the aggressive route, and Fiora, again, who really does one thing, it's poke stuff effectively in different areas.
Well, I mean, you hear people complaining on Reddit all the time, speaking of which.
Ooh, nice out. Looks like that riposte is not going to hit anything worthwhile, and the damage output is raw. Flash of Night able to get that one finished off. Bishop Kelly finds their 6th.
There have been a lot of complaints about how high the damage is in the game, and now it's time for Ryrie to put their money where their mouth is, and where our mouth is on these Idaho
Spuds. They all nutritional, all 1.5 grams of the delicious OIE Idaho Spuds. Absolutely, Globally, you're 100% correct. We've been living on them, and it's amazing. But again, not as good as this game right here, man. Bishop Kelly looking good. The feathers are out, and then they're in. It looks like Thief support wants to fight this for some reason. He's going to go inside, so that'll help for like a half second, and then he just gets chomped on there by Flash of Night. So that's a question mark pinger for a little bit. It's like,
I mean, that's the danger of the game. Is that, oh, there comes the ultimate.
Takeover's there. Feathers are going to fly. Pull him on back for the effective, but in jumps Katarina. The stun is there. The kill is as well. Stay normal takes out small Adobe, and it just It's just all in favor of Bishop Kelly. What a great way to throw those feathers out. Reposition yourself so when the Katarina jumps on in, pulls the Death Blossom, you're able to stop her inner track. She was forced to flash out. Huge win for Bishop Kelly, and Ryrie right now is grasping at straws.
You do have to wonder what the thought process was on the Renata Glass, because while that might be useful against the Trundle, like maybe you get the empowered attacks against his team, with the Xayah, you're just setting up more feathers for her. All of her damage is in that feather collar to bring it back to her.
Rifty in the bottom lane? No, top lane. Never mind. There's the pitch right there. That thing's gone. And now this Fiora is 1v2 with the spooky Scarab just watching the whole thing unfold. Tower goes down. Top laner bites the dust. And now Kane's looking for an opportunity. Number 2. The ultimate's not going to be there. They should know. Those were the timers. But they don't have much of anything else. Final hour going to be coming on through. They can't even get a pin to the wall. Yikers.
I mean, they don't, again, it's about that crowd control. You don't have the ability to set up these eliminations. You look over at the side of Bishop Kelly, and look at all the stuff they've got. They've got the Vex Sphere, they've got the pillar from the Trundle, they've got the pillar from the top lane as well as that knockup. You've got so much stuff to enable all of your damage to come through. And over on the side of Ryrie, they just don't have it. We do now see that Rost is going to be the Kane choice. I think that's an excellent choice. It is going to give you a little more crowd control to either engage or defend. So maybe that will make the difference.
Well, right now, top lane needs some help, bottom lane needs some help. It's not, you know, terrible, chilling 1-1, but every time Ryrie tries to make an aggressive move, Bishop Kelly just hits him with the clap back, finding every way to just exploit any kind of misstep or weakness. Again, the bottom lane did not have their ultimates and were still able to get out, even being pushed up as far as they were. So if you are Ryrie, you got to clean it up, you got to tune it up, and then you got to bring the hammer down. If you're Bishop Kelly, you can just keep doing the same old, and it should work out well and pay dividends. But both of these teams still in the early, I guess we'll say, mid part as we start to see this 15-minute creep up here. Bishop Kelly, though, absolutely massively sitting there. It's just, what do you do at this point? You're this far down. Not a whole lot left. It looks like you go for a Baron or a Dragon, but instead the Call of the Forest God comes through. Death Blossom is going to be for nothing. Flash of Night finds another. Even the supports are picking up kills here. They went for a drink and instead are removed from the river. They're going to hand that one over to Bishop Kelly, who will gladly do so in style.
Bishop Kelly was able to bring all of their members to that fight. They didn't even use the teleport because they had everybody there. The Fiora wasn't really able to engage. The Vayne was so far on the backside of the fight. And because of that, Flash of Night gets away with a sliver of health. You need to have your entire team there if you're going to get those objectives. And if they're not there, it should be because they're interfering with other members of the enemy team.
Well, bottom tower is going to fall. The top tower is unbelievably low. Mid tower's looking weak as well. That one is not going to land. That pillar looks like it could have been the death of one of the members of Ryrie. But instead, they're just going to, I guess, collect the scraps of what is left here on the bottom side. They just can't seem to find an edge. They can't find a good fight.
And that's part of what the crowd control is all about. That's what enables fights to happen. You can engage because you can hold someone in place to deal that damage to them, or so you can disengage so you can kite them back. If you don't have access to any of that crowd control, then you're a little bit out of luck there. Unless
There's not a whole lot you can do at that point.
Unless you can burst someone down incredibly fast. This is an Ornn here.
This guy's beefy, right?
He's very beefy.
Here's Vitals with procced. We're going to burn every flash ever. Might as well. Here comes the Bellows Breath. As Big is trying to come up big, and he's doing just that. Actually almost picks up one on his way out, but blue team going to destroy yet another turret as Fiora finally finds a kill, and hopefully that helps. But here comes Flash of Night. He's going to take all your stats. He's going to take your jungle. He's going to look for your squishy mid laner and put them in a body bag if he can help it. But the Shempo is going to allow for them to get out. Meanwhile, bottom lane is just getting beamed on right now as they are just making sure nothing stops. In comes the Trundle once again. 1v3 and oh so comfy in the meantime.
We were talking about how the Subjugate doesn't have a tanky target to go on to. That doesn't matter if you do so much damage that you're chewing through their health bars. This Divine Thunderer build works really well on him. Also has the Tiamat for, again, great clear speed. Like, it's tempo. He's setting up tempo, he's clearing his jungle faster, he's getting more minions, and therefore he's able to gank more, which is putting his team at a greater advantage.
Right. Meanwhile, again, as we were saying, bottom lane, oh my goodness, 142 to 74. You know, kills are one thing, CS is another. They're now getting dropped on. They know where the powerhouse is. Feathers come in. It hits the lowest member, and now the Lovers duo is looking oh so good. As it does look like going to be jumping on in there is the Kane, but Stay Normal kills one off screen and finds a second in the meantime.
This is so rough. You can tell that they want to be able to engage on that, but the tools that they have available, the Xayah Featherstorm, the Rakan Quickening, they have those abilities to disengage from the fight, abilities that Ryrie does not have.
Absolutely nuts the way that these feathers have been dropped. Stay normal, more like stay godly, man. Unbelievable moves in this bottom side, and having a support that can make those moves to help you get there doesn't hurt. Meanwhile, top side, Ornn's doing Ornn things. He's building stuff up, he's knocking it down, and he doesn't even have to go home if he doesn't want to. And it appears the rest of Bishop Kelly looking to get a stranglehold on this game already. But is that a 12,000 gold lead? Is my math correct there?
Yeah,
1, 2. That's a 12,000 gold lead in 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Huh. That's like an Adam scoreline. That's a Chizu scoreline right there. So, no disrespect, it must not feel super great because I have been there time and time again. Rift Herald going to be picked on up. Not even a contest right there.
And unfortunately, this Vayne is getting caught out. HGDL Copycat is doesn't have anywhere to run, anywhere to protect. And now here comes the collapse.
Call of Mordecai comes on through. Flash of Night will find the Fiora. Stay normal, going to find the Katarina. And now the tanky boys are just smacking everybody with whatever item they're using at this point. Rifty is going to be dropped, and we could be looking at a 20-minute game here in the very near future. We might even get a Carlton Dance Rift Herald here if they continue to push this aggression. Meanwhile, bottom side, it does appear Vex has picked a 1v1 with the jungler on the other side, but is not going to get it. He's going to fall. Meanwhile, Rifty's going to be slamming into Nexus turrets? Nexus turret 2, here comes the quickening. He's going to jump on in, jumps right back to his crew. So many summoner spells expended. Here comes the Death Blossom. It is for naught. Flash of Night and the rest of the crew turn around in a 4v5 and find a mid laner, which allows them to find the top laner. And if you sit and be patient, you may in fact see the end of the game. Bishop Kelly on the precipice of walking away the champions of this entire tournament. But they are not able to close it out, but they get so much with so little effort. Jumping on in is the Kane. He is going to find one, could very well find Flash of Night in the meantime, who just turns on the Vayne and says, fine, I'll do what I can with my dying breath. So much there, all in favor of BK Knights.
Okay, let's talk positives.
Yeah, please.
So they got some shutdowns.
Yeah.
Like, they got some big shutdowns. They got a shutdown on the Trundle that went over to their jungler, who has been struggling. So now you've got an assassin who can actually maybe assassinate.
Yeah, let's
so
go.
That's a big win. That's a good start.
What else? What else is good here, Globally?
Let's see. They still have 2 lanes with inhibitors.
Okay. I like that.
That's
I
also
like that.
good. They're here, and they could have some Idaho spuds.
Okay, there you go. That is also a
that's
positive as well. Yeah, I like it. I like the way you're going with this. I was also going to say they do have a remaining Nexus Tower. That is helpful, but now they'll see if they can get themselves a dragon. In comes the ultimate from Renata. It is a no. They're able to get it. That is a positive as well. But instead, it's going to just be for nothing. They get a Drake, they lose 2, and that very well could be the game if they continue to push this down. It will take some time. Here comes the teleport. You know, screw it. Just go right down the middle. You might as well. Or the teleports on in. Like, what's going to happen? Someone's going to stop him. That gold lead is massive. They find Renata Glass and say, how's about this hostile takeover? As they find the opposing ADC, they find the opposing top laner, the turret, and the Nexus. Bishop Kelly will be your official League of Legends winners of the Idaho Showdown, and in decisive fashion. Big shout outs to Bishop Kelly. Kudos to Ryrie, but BK was not going to be stopped. They are your official winners of the Idaho State Showdown. And that is massive, Glovely. That was we thought we saw some turn-upness as far as the last game was concerned. They apparently just wanted to really show off this time around.
Definitely. Although I do think that there is a lot to be learned from both sides of this game.
Sure.
Like, there were times where it felt like Bishop Kelly maybe got a little cocky at how
I think they
well
were allowed to be.
I mean, they were certainly allowed to be, but they did get punished a few times, especially in game one.
Sure.
So that is something to like look over in their VODs, just consider like that mental state. But for the most part, right now, they can celebrate going home champions.
Absolutely. Big old round of applause for those guys on stage right there again. Bishop Kelly picking up the big old victory. You love to see it. It has been an absolutely long day. They can treat themselves to a nice Idaho spud. But what an absolute knockdown, drag them out of epic proportions, Glovely. What a way to end this weekend. Do you have any thoughts as we continue on?
As far as I'm concerned, I'd love to have more League of Legends back. Can we have more of this? More of this, please. More of the Overwatch, more of the Smash. I'm really sad that it's summer, and that means school is ending, and all of these kids are going to head home and, let's be honest, probably play video games all
Play
summer,
some more,
right?
Exactly, right? Well, absolutely awesome. And again, if I am not mistaken, as the days have gone on, this is the last of the last. You see Doc cleaning everything else up. And so for them to be here, for them to put on the mental, I don't know, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels kind of situation and just absolutely decimate game after game, that's huge. Maybe give yourself a break. Maybe calm down. And then as far as the side of Ryrie is concerned, I mean, they fought a hard-fought series. They did the best that they could. But Bishop Kelly was just better than them this time around. Like you said, there's always next year. And rumor has it there's more stuff like this coming to the Boise State Esports Battle Arena right here on Capitol Boulevard. Might behoove you to come check it out. It's one of our personal favorite places. As we gear up for the player of the game, Glovely, and to shut this thing down, do you have any thoughts on who it might be?
I would probably point it towards Flash of Night. Like, that jungle pressure was so crucial in both games on both the Trundle and the Hecarim, creating the tempo for the team, setting up everybody else to be able to carry all of their lanes. I don't think there was anyone else who was nearly as consistent or effective across all the games.
Absolutely. And as far as me, I would take the same route. That's where I was going to go. Something could be said for the bottom lane as well, for the side of Bishop Kelly.
Definitely.
They had so much pressure on him, and it didn't matter. The whole nice try, guy situation was tried and true for that bottom lane. But it takes 5, and they did an amazing job. So here in the very near future, if I'm not mistaken, we will have your ICCU player of the game, and it does appear to be Flash of Night. Look at you, Glovely, nailing it. No surprises, because you're pretty much the smartest person here.
Aw, that's very sweet of you. Not as sweet as these Idaho Spuds.
But yes, you see, again, Flash of Night just absolutely doing everything and then some. The Hecarim, despite being nerfed, came in absolutely clutch. And then on top of everything else, the crew was able to follow around him. So, player of the game brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central, helping members achieve financial success. So therefore, Flash of Night is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. And well-deserved, like we said. It didn't matter all of the individuals that they came across. They quickly and abruptly put into a body bag and find themselves the victors this time around. So, again, Glovely, what a long day. You've got to be exhausted. You've been doing this for 2 days.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go home, and I am going to collapse in the most comfortable spot I can find, which will hopefully be further than 3 steps into my house.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, as we get ready to give you a little bit more extra, it does appear we will have top 5 plays to bring you here in the very near future. Despite the fact that there were 2 days of amazing games and amazing plays, we will be leaving you again with this top 5 by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. And with more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. So again, from all of us here at the desk, from all of the individuals who played, watched, or just simply enjoyed a good old-fashioned Idaho Spud over the last handful of days. Big shout-outs to Doc, shout-outs to the production, and to anyone involved in any way, shape, or form. We cannot wait to see you again from the Esports Battle Arena here on Capitol Boulevard. We wish you good night. Real there, but now the Yasuo jumping in. What could be determined is prematurely. Ultimates on ultimates on ultimates, and it looks like a huge one coming out from Seraphine. Locks down the entirety of the Bishop Kelly Knights, and now it is a free-for-all. Knockdown, drag him out. Flash of Night starts it out. Bishop Kelly drops on top of Ryrie, and Ryrie brings out their bet for. You know, kills are one thing, the CS is another. They're now getting dropped on. They know where the powerhouse is. Feathers come in. It hits the lowest member, and now the Lovers duo is looking oh so good, as it does look like going to be jumping on in there is the Kane, but Stay Normal kills one off screen and finds a second in the meantime.
This is able to survive, and more importantly, they need him to be able to do damage. This is incredibly risky with that Hecarim over.
Bounty has been claimed by Ryrie, but the question is what are they going to lose in the process? It does look like Bishop Kelly has already found two. The Yasuo responds, but is going to be dropped by the Lucian, and that is a massive loss. Not necessarily wanting to pull it out, apparently. They're just going to keep fighting it there in the center. In jumps Thief's support, and there goes the blast cone as well. Renata is there. They're just looking to fight. Vex is on in, and the Thief's support is going to go down. Dragon over to Bishop Kelly. That's another one as HGDL finds Thief's support. Zeke left. It looks like you go for a Baron or a Dragon, but instead the Call of the Forest God comes through. Death Blossom is going to be for nothing. Flash of Night finds another. Even the supports are picking up kills here. They went for a drink and instead are removed from the river. They're going to hand that one over to Bishop Kelly, who